2, 1.
Reality. Are you living it?
You are a function of this total galaxy, bounded by the Milky Way, and that furthermore, this galaxy is a function of all other galaxies.
Our reality.
The show that will stretch your consciousness and awaken you to a world of unlimited possibilities. It's time to change the world. It's time for an awakening. It's time for Our Reality. Hosted by your emissary to planet Earth, Violeta Light.
Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to Our Reality, where every week I try to discuss, by myself or with my guests, try to discuss the current reality we live in and the topics we're facing, so we can maybe spark, ideas in people's minds, or just stimulate their thinking and get some new info out there. I'm going to read my own biography for those who don't know me so that you familiarize yourself with me. I have been an alien contactee since I was a very little girl, and I remember my first contacts as a very young child. And I grew up in ex-Yugoslavia and lived through a civil war there. And I consider that great experience because I was able to see the steps and the manipulation and propaganda, the media, what effects the media can have on people and on whole countries and whole nations. I experienced regular contact. So I spent my teenage years in Germany, and then I moved to the United States. I experienced regular contact all my life with various different alien species, from praying mantis to reptilians, to even cyborg beings. So a lot of experience with different beings. I've seen shapeshifters live. I've been to the inner Earth and been assigned different roles, all to fulfill my mission on Earth. I have been a my lab experiencer and a soldier of light assigned on different missions on and off planet on a regular basis, as well as a medium and medical intuitive since I was a very little girl. I have had peculiar marks placed on me my entire life, and the most current one being most prominent of all. It looked like a Wi-Fi signal, and it was probably a 5-inch mark on my back, which even when it disappeared, it would still vibrate sometimes. So definitely out of world encounters. I consider myself a starseed, along with many other starseeds that are currently on the planet in human bodies, doing a mission here, obviously during these hard times, which was to incarnate. I'm an emissary to the planet along with others on a mission to help planet Earth and its inhabitants raise the vibration through knowledge and application of it, and as well as enabling of the heart center and peace in this realm in order to get away from the control systems and alien races who seek to exert control over planet Earth and its inhabitants, as it's very obvious right now. I have lived in different religious temples and studied different religions, as well as traveled extensively to key locations all over the world. As part of my education on planet Earth, I am part of the task force to change the system from inside out according to the universal law and bring the vibratory rate of the planet Earth to higher state. So, good morning, everyone. My topic today that I chose is a hard one. The global pedophile network, who they are and why they do it. So it would be as simple to, go ahead and accuse every Hollywood star or celebrity, or almost every single person in Hollywood of it. It might be wrong to go that route, in my opinion, because we don't know what allegedly happened with every single person. However, the fact that a global pedophile network exists is unfortunately very, very true. I remember even when I was younger, I would dream about the kids and dream about the kids that are being held. And I always remember waking up in the middle of the night and screaming, help the kids, help the kids. Because not only are kids being used for, unfortunately, I don't want to say sexual purpose, but it is a sexual purpose. There's an underlying purpose under that sexual purpose, but they're also being exploited for their gifts, because kids, when they're very, very young, they're very pure, they're very beautiful, and up until age 7 or 8, they're hugely connected to the source. There's still this light in them that the world hasn't changed yet, and that light they emanate, and they love everyone, with an open heart. And I believe, and you, I'm sure as well, that a child at that age, or even at a very young age, or even up until 15, 16, 17, is absolutely not interested in sex. So having any kind of sexual encounter with a child that is so young is completely wrong, because you're not dealing with a consenting person at all, and you're not dealing with someone that would do this for fun at all. The adults, however, or beings that are doing this, are just unspeakable, what I think of them. However, I think that most of them, I feel, are influenced by the archonic energies currently controlling the planet. So the power structure of planet Earth is a very deceiving one. We see the governments in place, okay? Just like when we grew up and we had teachers and we had maybe parents, and we thought of them, they're so amazing and they're so above us and they know answers to all the questions, and we were so happy to have parents and so happy to have teachers. But when we grew up, we saw that being parent isn't easy, and we saw that parents are normal people who have problems, who get drunk, who cheat on each other, who are just like no longer the heroes we saw when we were children. And we saw that the world is quite different, that even those teachers had problems and had their own issues and so on and so forth. But we didn't understand it as children. We understood it as adults. So similarly, we behave towards the government. We behave towards the power structures on the planet, and we think that, hey, why aren't they doing this? And, they have, they could do this and this and that. And we don't realize that when we go, if we were in government, a lot of deals get done just by speaking to each other. And these same people don't know what's best for our world and do not know what they're doing exactly, because currently the archonic powers, or the powers that we came here to prevent them from taking the place on planet Earth, are having a heyday. They're taking planet Earth over by storm, and yes, at the same time the good is fighting against them and uncovering these pedophile rings and whatnot. But the advances they're making in convincing people of this pandemic is startling. And I don't want to talk about this, in my opinion, fake pandemic too much longer. The reason why I say fake, not that there is no virus whatsoever, but it doesn't justify the measures and doesn't justify what's being done to us and what will be done to us. And it's being treated as a level 5 pandemic, and it's not even, it's maybe level 2. And the restrictions that are put in on us, the control, is horrible. But however, the same pedophile ring that runs the government, runs also these mass measures that are completely insane over this virus that's not even, that has 99% survival rate. So when we talk about sex with children, I want to tell you something. As a lifelong alien experiencer, I have been able to, in a state, I wouldn't say in a state of meditation, when I allow it to happen, I can communicate or call in different species at will sometimes, if they're available, of course, too. But I had a conversation with a reptilian being, with a being who was not necessarily a bad being, but was willing to tell me some things about them and how they operate. And I remember sitting at a restaurant when we were having this conversation. Of course, it was in my mind, and this being showed up, and I was asking him to show me how they feast on people, and why, and why and how. And he simply showed me. He said, "You see that man sitting at a bar, about 47 years old?" And I said, "Yeah, I see him." And he said, I'm going to let you see through my eyes." And so I was able to see above the man was almost like an energy source that was half full, maybe quarter full. And it was not really enticing because the energy that that man had was already so kind of full of worries and empty, and just the vibration of it was kind of like a bad piece of meat, energetically. And he said, "Now turn around to the right and look at that little girl." And I looked at the little girl, and above her was a beaming ray of light. Like, it was delicious. The energy was amazing. So if I was a reptilian and I was to consume that energy, it was like the prime steak. And if I was to consume the energy of the man, it was like something that would make me sick to the stomach. And I'm not saying consuming them in flesh. I'm saying consuming their energy, because that's what's actually happening during any kind of sex acts that these pedophiles are having with children. So this force on planet Earth, I'm getting goosebumps, is actually one that mocks God. It mocks the creator. It seeks to become the creator. And as you have noticed in your life, every time you do a good thing, whether you help yourself through it in life or not, but if it's a good thing, it elevates you internally. It keeps elevating you. And have you ever met someone and you trust them right away? Like, you can just feel so much light from them. And I believe that's the result of this person's past deeds, and deeds that they do when nobody sees them doing it. Because a good deed is a reward in itself. It starts bringing your energy levels up, and it starts bringing your vibration up, and people can sense that when they meet you. However, a person that has bad thoughts, or wants to harm others, or wishes ill for others, or seeks to control, and so on and so forth, internally they're falling. And when you see them, you will see it in their face, you will see it in their demeanor, and you're like, just something's just not right about this person. I don't trust them. So same thing these beings are doing. Unfortunately, due to their makeup and due to their misguidance, they have been seeking to disconnect from the source, dishonor the source completely, dishonor God and what we call God, and just go in the opposite direction of they first of all, for the most part, not as a whole species, because there's always a difference, don't really see humans as their counterpart. They see them as something disposable, as an energy source, and I've mentioned in my previous shows, they don't see us as quite that intelligent. Even though we think we're so intelligent, we're very easily misled as people. We're very easily controlled, especially in a herd situation, a mass, population as a mass is very easily controlled. And they're not really having that much of a hard time on planet Earth. And again, it's always because we're looking at mommy, daddy, aka government, to fix everything. And unfortunately, those people who have placed in government are less than trustworthy overall. I'm talking overall. I'm not just saying, look at this president, look at that president. As we all know, they're not the ones running the show. So when the pedophile network got created, it was a long time ago. It's probably as long as humanity exists, because the energies I'm talking about are ancient as well. They're as long as humanity exists. But the reason they're having these sex with children is not purely sexual. It's to rob them of their energy. Because I know this is a hard topic, but unfortunately, when you imagine the act itself, it's not really that much about getting off or sex. It's really about robbing that child of its innocence. And during the act, the person doing it gets fueled with an energy of control and an energy of almost like vitality. And I know it's disgusting, and I know it's terrible for the child. And however, the people who have gotten to the state where instead of caring and being a child's guardian and protector, they have a different agenda in their mind, whether they be female or male pedophiles, because there's both. They have already, I feel, been already taken over by the devil, quote unquote, because I don't think anybody who is, I don't want to say sane, but who is in the right state of mind will want to have a sex with a child that is not consenting, that is weaker than them, that is clearly sad and just looking for protection. And so I feel that a lot of these global pedophile rings, even, when we talk about the Epstein Island and all these Hollywood celebrities going, I'm very careful to name people and say this person, because I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if Tom Hanks was there. I don't know if Oprah was. I have no idea about that. I cannot name names. I just know that it exists. I know that why it's done. To get into the club, I'm sure that people who do it, some are disgusted by it, but they already got into the club, and that club is going to further their career. And so it's done on a regular basis. But the ones who are really, I would say, evil are mostly people who are in charge. They're mostly on really high levels of entertainment industry and government. And once you get to the high level, a lot of times your spirituality is compromised. And a lot of times these archonic beings are seeking to merge with the electromagnetic body of the person. And they become almost like energetically, they become half human, half archon. So whenever those acts start happening, they're actually happening to feed the archonic energy, to feed the reptilian energy, and to feed that interdimensional portal of existence. And every time there is a ritual, like you've seen in the Eyes Wide Shut, it goes up and up. It goes into, consuming androchrome, consuming things that will give them a more youthful or vitality appearance. So we're talking about things that are happening that we, the average human, never even bothered to stop and think about, because we were too busy living in the control system of our lives, working 8 to 5, hoping at the retirement at 65. However, this currently happening on planet Earth, it's good that so much is being uncovered. What's bad is that the majority of population is still catching on and kind of waking up from the sleep, and the sleep being that there's some good people in the government trying to take care of us overall, generally, and that they mean what's best and they're doing what's best for us. And that's not always the case. I mean, I'm sure there is some good people, but you always see good by the action they do. If someone is good, you will see it through their actions. They don't need to tell you they're good. If the government is good, you will see it through their action. Currently, we're not seeing that. Currently, we're seeing a total global takeover, and we're seeing a complete destruction of the American economy, which is going to be apparent very soon. Same people that run these pedophile rings are same people that are doing this. And again, merged with the archonic energy that we came here, we as starseeds, like I mentioned in the beginning of my show, came here to stop them, or to at least wake up the population of planet Earth enough, and to show them and tell them that there is other beings present with us. If you open up the Bible, open up the Quran, open up Bhagavad Gita, you will always read about demons. You will read about demons opposing God. And there is truth to it. There's definitely truth to it. Otherwise, people wouldn't have experiences all around the world with these things. I personally had experiences with, had the unfortunate experience with demons when I moved into a haunted place one time, and I am 100% convinced of what they can do and how they can influence a person's thinking and and materialize even, and so on and so forth. So when you, and I'm sure in your life you've known people who has had these experiences or have had these experiences. So just know that these things are real, and there is good and bad on the planet, and unfortunately the bad is running the show pretending to be good, and that's why we're in this mess. Because even this virus is not done because they want to help us and they're really interested in our health. It's done to further their agenda, to put a technocratic society into place where it's very easily controlled by computers, very easily controlled by mimicking each other's behaviors. So it's a rat race, and the sooner we wake up, and I'm not saying go on the street and protest and tear the city down, because that will not help anything, but by informing yourself, knowledge is power, and not consenting to the abuses they're, muzzling us basically, and that's not even that bad from what is coming, actually, and because worse things will come. And if we allow this global pedophile ring that feeds on children's energy and has no regard for human life, no regard for the innocence of a child, how much, regard will it have for yours? And I'm not on Trump or Biden's side, but if you look at these are really real things. If you look at Biden and his conduct with children that has been filmed, I mean, it's beyond scary. Even if he was not even running for president, even if he was my grandpa, I would scold him, and I would, not be comfortable with how he's touching children. It's all over the internet. And so you take one look at that and you ask yourself, is this a man who's so, power drunk that he thinks he can get away with anything? Or is this a man possessed? Or is this a man sick, because of the way he's touching children? And unfortunately, he is just the tip of the iceberg, what's being done to these children in private, and how they're being sacrificed, and how they're being harvested for energy. And in my visions, the thing you could imagine is when that act is happening, that these people are literally possessed by the devil, what we call the devil, by archonic energies. Their demeanor changes, and during the act with the child, the archon that's floating above them a lot of times and that's just connecting to their energy is actually sucking the child's energy out. So that's what's happening. And dealing with them, I know that they're also influencing the thought process of that person that they're overlording, even though this person is a high government official. They're not immune to the overlording of the archon, because once we understand how to fight them off, we will be immune at every level. But just like a person that moved into a haunted house like me was susceptible to their control at one point, it doesn't make someone in the government immune to it. So that's what's happening. These energies are joining in with them, and they're causing havoc through human face. We will be taking a short break, and I'll be right back and hopefully talk about a little bit of a lighter topic. Thanks. Stay tuned.
And now, your emissary to planet Earth, the host of our reality, Violeta Brankovic.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our reality. Today I'm really, taken upon myself to discuss a very difficult topic, but I felt like it needed to be done. So we're talking about the child pedophilia ring, and I decided, of course, I could have researched online and seen who supposedly was on the Epstein Island. I really don't think that's, my job to, appoint who's guilty, who's not. But I wanted to discuss the nature of the act and why they're doing it and what's actually behind it. And I was mentioning that there's people who are connected to the God source, who are fueling their life energy with good deeds, with believe in God, with believe in beauty, in non-judgment. When I say believe in God, I'm not saying, take your Bible and go judge everyone. No, I'm saying be a genuinely good person and believe in a higher power, because definitely a higher power created us, and an invisible, higher power, because God is omnipotent and everywhere, and not male or female either, but this beautiful power we feel when we pray. And the good people, or I want to say people who are, just like everything in life is physics. It's positive or negative. So it has either a positive fuel or negative fuel. People who do not engage in these horrendous acts, and who are actually engaged in service to others in a good way, with every good deed and with every beautiful deed they do, beautiful word they utter to others, their energy is fueled in a positive way. And these people who are doing these horrendous acts, they're falling from grace. They're doing these negative things. And the problem with that is, the more they do it, the more they need to do it, is because they're disconnected from the source now. Even though the source is there for everyone, shall you turn to it, they're in darkness, in heavy darkness. And unfortunately, when I talk about these archons, I can feel them, and and maybe I'll shorten it a little bit. But I wanted to tell you, how they work, but by the experience I had in a haunted place I moved into. That's when I had my life lesson on how they work. Moved into this apartment, I could feel the darkness upon entering it, but it was such a beautiful place, and right next to the huge pool, that I convinced myself that, my feelings were probably not right, and I'm just going to move in there. When I moved in there, I believe the first night, I woke up to a dark being on top of me, pleasuring me, which is not pleasure, but I could feel that the energy from my heart was being stolen. Like, I could literally feel it sucking my energy. And I woke up and I saw it on top of me, and I went, and it went too, because it didn't realize, that I woke up, I guess. And it got up, and I could clearly see it, like it was so strong, it was solid. And I don't remember what happened. I fell back asleep, and it was done. And after that, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, I prayed to God and everything. But every time I would come home, I lived alone, but I would feel like my home is full. Like I literally felt them. And I was thinking to myself, boy, I signed a lease here. I want to tell the landlord so bad I'm dealing with a haunted place. And I did tell them. Of course, they didn't believe me. And I was like, well, let me just try to stick it out. There was no sticking it out. They would try to connect with me through my mind. They were trying to possess me. I could feel my head moving it sometimes unwillingly. And I was like, I need to get out of this place, because I've done praying, I've done, everything I could, but whatever is in here is overpowering me. I felt it, and I was not ashamed to admit that I was being overpowered. And I happened to talk to some neighbors, and I just asked them, I said, maybe it's me, maybe I'm crazy. I mean, I did have so many encounters in life. Maybe it's just me and my imagination. And the neighbor said, no, honey, it's not. The lady who lived here before you, she would wake up at 2 a.m. and she was holding her Bible and reciting Bible verses outside of that apartment. I'm like, oh my God. And then I asked another neighbor who had been there for 12 years, and she said, yeah, a couple of Satanists lived in that apartment before you, and they were priding themselves on conjuring the Satan right in your master bedroom. I'm like, oh my God, God Almighty, I don't want to deal with this. But that apartment and that experience gave me a really, really deep insight of what they're doing. So at times they try to connect with my mind. So that I would think the way they think. I would become almost assimilated, right? At that point, of course, I had enough strength to get out of the place, and fortunately, they were localized. Whatever happened did not travel outside the apartment with me. And at that time in my life, I really heavily turned to God. I've really heavily turned to prayer. And I said, no, I don't want to go your route. I don't want to be stuck with you. I don't want to be in this darkness with you. And they do all kinds of promises. They promise you strength. They promise you, different things when they communicate. But you don't feel good with it. You feel darkness. I felt darkness, and I distanced myself heavily from that. Now, these energies again fuel on negativity, and negativity such as arguments with others. That's a heavy thing. If that's what we're doing currently online, we're arguing our point on Facebook, we're arguing our point on Instagram, and we think we're doing a good thing, and we're not. I catch myself too. This the argument energy is one that they feed on. The disagreement, whatever is negative, they'll feed on it, and they'll be around to collect, just like they described that little girl and the 47-year-old man. Whatever the quality of your energy, if your energy is highly, high quality, and you're finding yourself literally acting out of character, and you have spurts of argument with others, you feel like you need to argue with or yell at your family members or the dogs or cats or I don't know what. It could be at that moment that you're being actually incited by an archonic energy. And because the fact is, they are beings that share the same space with us on the electromagnetic spectrum. They do, even though nobody's telling us about it. They're not teaching us, because if they would teach us, we would be much more inclined to fight them the right way. And fighting them the right way is through goodness, really goodness, and connecting yourself to prayer, connecting yourself to what's good in us, and good deeds, good people, prayer, become light bearers of God on planet Earth. That is the whole mission, that is the whole goal, because trust me, they're very weak once you do that. They're very weak. These beings who we don't see, who we don't see with the naked eye, but they're definitely there, and have been there for a long time and feeding on us. I mean, I wouldn't think it's so far-fetched to think that, right? Even though we're feeding, like, I love to bring the example of chicken, because chickens have, moms and dads and children, and we eat them, and we don't really think about, did the chicken suffer? I'm just eating it. So we are to chicken what they are to us. They're also doing the feeding, but they're feeding, instead of, feeding on our flesh, they're feeding energetically on us, on these children that they're abusing worldwide, through our bodies. So they're using the body to access the act, and the act itself fuels their invisible body, invisible to our eyes. So I feel like if the knowledge of them was a little more around, then we would try not to get angry. Whenever you get angry, go drink water, go walk around, instead of engaging in that emotional outburst. Because when you do engage, you feel empty later. You feel kind of like you can breathe again, because that tension is not there. But the consequence of that action really stays with you, and it's a negative one. So it ends up ruining your life bit by bit. I'm not saying don't stand up for yourself. I'm saying about angry outbursts. And that's how they fuel themselves. Like, they will go into families, and they will live with families, and they will incite each other against each other all the time. As long as there is fuel, as long as there's energy, they'll be around the family. And I know, like, I don't want to scare you by speaking all this, but it's a fact. It's a fact that they exist. If you like watch movies, for example, like the John Carpenter's movie, They Live. It was very interesting how he, like, I would encourage you, watch that, watch Eyes Wide Shut, watch John Carpenter's They Live. it shows them, it shows them that they have possessed TV anchors. They possess different. So you have also in their world beings who are less or more powerful. The more powerful ones, they're engaged in people in government and people in. But imagine this. Imagine for a moment you were them, and your source was human energy on planet Earth. Imagine, furthermore, these humans cannot see you. You're invisible to their naked eye, but they can feel you and they can see you through action, through their actions. So imagine, furthermore, that you have a higher knowledge of reality and a higher knowledge of self than they do. Just like when you look down at the chicken, you know for sure the chicken doesn't know how to read and you do know how to read, and it doesn't know this and this and you do know, and you feel emotionally and intellectually more powerful to the chicken. They view us the very same way, I promise you, except for them, their game of manipulation is a little, how should I say, it's a more upper class than what we do with the chicken. We simply fence it in with a fence. There you go, chicken, you can't get out, end of you. They're fencing us in too, but they're not fencing us with the fence. They're putting us in mental jails, okay, through media, through everything that they're doing currently on the planet, convincing us this virus is so terrible and so real, and you're all gonna die for sure and definitely if we don't wear a mask, and hospitals are swamped, and fear, right? Fear. They're instilling fear, and you're a bad person if you don't fear this, and if you don't wear a muzzle, and if you don't believe in a mask that has been proven to not even stop the COVID-19 virus. And if you your power is knowledge. Inform yourself. Don't go on the internet arguing with me or anyone. I mean, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to engage in arguments because I don't want to waste my energy. I don't want the archon that's fueling you or fueling me or hovering above either one of us. I don't want them to get fueled through our argument, because that's what they're doing. They're eating. That's their meal. And so they're currently really having a heyday. And I would say, us who are listening, okay, your best weapon is prayer. Really, prayer works. Good deeds, because good deeds will elevate you in status, spiritual status, to where things are going to become visible to you and clearer to you. And I know that people who are listening to me, who are actually involved in prayer, they know about this. They've felt this. Good deeds cannot be emphasized enough. Try not arguing. The moment you argue, the moment you get mad about something, is when they have access to you. So there's two types of emotional states where you are literally like a buffet. you let's say on this invisible spectrum, and they're seeing the invisible spectrum, okay? You start sending off signals of energetic discharge and start becoming a victim to them. And that is during two cases. When you're in a fear state, any type of fear, whether somebody scares you or this media is doing day in, day out, scaring you, your aura becomes accessible to them during fear and during anger. So these are the major two: fear and anger, fear and anger, fear and anger, fear and anger. Try to conquer those two. If you're in fear, do whatever it takes to get out of the state of fear. If you're angry, try to have a constructive conversation with whoever made you angry, maybe after you cool down. And the reason I'm saying this is because of this feeding frenzy that's going on that we don't see. And unfortunately, they've gotten most of humanity to the point that we're doing nothing but arguing on Facebook and thinking that we're so powerless against everything that's happening. And we're reading about Wayfair scandals, because I'm sure if you heard about the Wayfair, where they had, you can look it up online, where they had overpriced items on sale, and supposedly nobody knows how it got there. But you have cabinets selling for $10,000 and $11,000 with missing children's names on it. As much as you want to believe it's a mistake, really, that cabinet or that pillow shouldn't be sold for $10,000, $11,000. I mean, it's too much of a mistake to keep repeating, and so much is happening. already in connection to that. But this club that these people frequent, this unofficial club that they're in, that, like me and my producer discussed during the break, that allows them privileges in life, allows them to be above the law and order sometimes. It's not worth the price their soul is going to pay. It's not worth, being an all-powerful person, temporarily for 70 years on planet Earth and then going quote unquote hell, because hell is a low vibratory state. Of course, they'll get reincarnated or taken to places and planets which are according to the deeds they did. And it's never too late to repent. But, the analogy of hell and the analogy of heaven is a vibratory state, really. And after we die, we go to the vibratory state we were in at the time of death. And we are at the time of death in the vibratory state that we were most frequenting. So you frequent, just like you frequent a restaurant and you frequent a vibratory state every day upon waking. You frequent a vibratory state by the things you listen to, you engage in, by people who are around you, by your intention, by your thoughts, so if you wake up and you're not feeling good, you just have to sit with yourself and find out where that point is coming from, the not feel good point. Is it coming from being angry at a spouse? Is it coming from a friend? Is it coming from your inability or feeling weak about a particular area of your life? And then try to objectively look at that area and try to fix it in a way that is good. And ask for help. Prayer is, again, a best form of help, because just like there is these demonic influences around us, there's angelic ones. The angelic ones you have to call upon. As you know, they're benevolent beings as well. So when we look deeper and deeper into aliens, angels, and demons, a lot of people want to clump them in, and they say, yeah, well, aliens is nothing more than angels and demons. Not really true. Just like the universe is full of beings, there's beings just like us in different also human bodies, but in different bodies, and that are not very privy to the invisible world. And what I'm talking about is the invisible world to us. And depending on this alien being or alien beings and what vibratory state or knowledge of their civilization is, they either know a lot about it or not. And then there is systems that absolutely are free of this invisible states and that are, quote unquote heaven, because these beings cannot survive after a certain vibratory state has been reached. So if you want to get rid of them, you will automatically do that by raising your vibration, by engaging in less argument, by trying to not be in the fear state. I told my producer Tina, I had a dream, and in that dream, I was brought to a FEMA camp and I died there, and I tried escaping that destiny so much, and I finally realized that my destiny is my destiny, whatever it is. I'm not saying that I will definitely die in a FEMA camp, but I am accepting of whatever my destiny is. But in the meantime, what I am not accepting is being in fear, and what I'm not accepting is arguing. And so the state of mind, it is your vehicle. It's your true vehicle. It's not this body, but it is the state of mind you project. So this current terrible situation that we're finding ourselves in, trust me, it's not going to be over anytime soon, because of the people who are in charge of this whole pandemic. Because definitely, I've read accounts from ICU nurses around Vegas, and it's not a dire situation they're describing. But what is dire is the evictions that are going to come in Las Vegas, the homelessness, the crime rates that is going to spike, and a definite attack on our economy and our freedom through an excuse of pandemic that supposedly is killing people left and right. It's not. And so education, educate yourself instead of arguing with anyone online because they think we should wear a mask or we shouldn't wear a mask. Just leave that, because that's what they're engaging in on Facebook and Instagram, and they're stealing your energy through it as well, and just go inform yourselves deeply, and then know that if you're on the side of good, your vibratory rate is going to survive regardless. You're going to feel great no matter what state you find yourself in. And that is the key. That is the key, because we're not powerless. We can call in forces of light. We can call in angelic beings. We can definitely banish these archons from places of worship, even if your body is that place of worship, if your home is that place of goodness and worship. Keep in mind, no fear and no anger. Try to keep these two under check. I had to work on myself, and I'm always working and trying to work on myself, because I'm not perfect. Neither are you. And it's okay if you're not. You have an outburst, okay. Next time we're going to prevent it. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't feel guilty. But, let's work on ourselves as beings. And that's how we're actually going to get rid of them. That's how we're going to banish them. And know that the people in government are not working in your best interest. They absolutely are not. This cabal of archons, they have infiltrated the highest positions in government. And we're currently, fighting an invisible war on planet Earth. And that's what's happening. But I think on our ground troops, if we could maintain our vibratory rate at a point that is productive rather than destructive, we will win, and we will definitely shorten the amount of, because anytime something happens like on a global scale to upset us like this, it's a call for evolution. It's a call for an evolution of the species. And so that's currently what we're doing. We're evolving. And even though this thing is pushing up against us, and these waves, supposedly pandemic waves, are going to keep coming. They're no joke. I mean, the virus is a joke, but the waves are not a joke. They're definitely designed to keep coming. And if you listen to Edward Snowden, turn it on, the hacker and the whistleblower, he's talking about 16 waves. David Icke is talking about Hunger Games Society. 100% true. That's what they want. They want to rule us. They want to give you unemployment and then take it away, for example, and take it away and have you later just ask for handouts because they have destroyed economy so much you can't find work anyways. So inform yourselves, no argument, no fear. That's my advice. Lots of prayer, and we'll get through this and make it as painless as possible and evolve as species. I hope you've gleaned. I know it was not per se an enjoyable show to listen to and relax, but maybe it gave us all a little more insight and information and gave you more weapons to fight with. Proper weapons, not AK-14s or nothing like that. No, that's not the way to go. Okay, have a beautiful week, everyone, and stay safe, pray, and don't be angry. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Our Reality, hosted by Violeta Light, live every Saturday from the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on the host as well as the show, as well as upcoming guests, please check out our reality show page at kcorradio.com.
Our reality.
From the ordinary to the extraordinary, we've got you covered. Our Reality, changing the world, one topic at a time.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.